Winter is in full force, but that doesn't mean that your fun on two wheels has to stop. Enter the Fat Bike, whose voluminous tires allow it to ride on top of forest debris, sand, and of course, snow. And while these plus-size machines spent some time in the limelight a decade or so ago, nowadays they're largely used by die-hard cyclists who aren't afraid to let some adverse riding conditions stop them from riding or even racing their bikes. So in this video, we're paying homage to the dogged Fat Bike and those who ride them with a list of our favorite models of 2024. But before we get started, take a quick second to like this video to help others find it. Now, on to our first bike. I wouldn't blame you if you thought all fat bikes were hefty 40+ pound creations, and while many are, the winner of our first category, the best lightweight fat bike, most certainly is not. The RSD Mater Titanium CF tips the scale at just 26.2 pounds or 11.9 kilograms, which is as light as any trail bike, let alone one with nearly 5-inch wide tires. This lightweight is the result of a titanium frame and carbon fiber rigid fork. But if you want a little extra cush, RSD will also sell the bike with a 100mm Manitou Mastodon fork. And if you think this welterweight is only going to be good on flat, non-technical trails, then just wait till you see its geometry. The RSD Mater has a 67-degree head-tube angle, which is on the slack side of the fat bike spectrum, making it perfect for modern single-track trails. Another thing helping keep the bike's weight down is RSD's choice to use 26-inch wheels, which are wrapped in 4.8-inch Maxxis Minion FBF and FBR tires. The rest of the bike's components are largely taken care of by SRAM and Raceface, with SRAM Level T brakes and an 11-speed SRAM NX drivetrain. The inclusion of an 11-speed drivetrain with a relatively narrow 11 to 42 tooth cassette is a bit of a bummer, but for a titanium bike at just $3,949, I'm not going to complain. In total, the RSD Mater's modern trail-focused geometry and that super lightweight build is going to make it feel one of the most normal of any of the fat bikes we have on this list. And for that reason, we're going to give it 4.5 out of 5 goats. Not only that, it's also my favorite bike on today's list. I'm a sucker for that titanium frame. Moving on then from the lightest bike on today's list to the heaviest, because our second category is the best pedal assist fat bike. The winner here is the Rocky Mountain Blizzard PowerPlay A30, which lists for $5,169. Like the RSD, the Blizzard's aluminum frame and carbon fiber fork feature modern geometry with a very slack 66-degree head-tube angle, as well as long reaches and low standover heights across all sizes. The bike is powered by a 108 Nm Dynami 4 motor paired to a 720 Wh battery. This is in turn connected to a 10-speed Microshift Advent X drivetrain. Collectively, these should have no issue powering you up even the steepest snow-covered hills. And speaking of powering through rough terrain, the Rocky Mountain Blizzard comes with some massive 27.5 by 4.5-inch V-Tire Co. Snow Avalanche stud-compatible tires. And lastly, a set of SRAM level brakes are there to slow you back down when you're done. The Rocky Mountain Blizzard PowerPlay A10's dial drive system, modern geometry, and relatively affordable price makes it a winner in our book. And for that reason, we're going to give it a full 5 out of 5 goats. To be honest, the pedal assist fat bike category is still relatively small, which is honestly a bit surprising, as I can't think of a place I'd appreciate the extra help of a motor more than when slogging up steep snowy climbs. And if anyone from Rocky Mountain happens to be listening, we'd love to take this bike out for a rip sometime. Our third category is the best budget-friendly fat bike. And the winner here is the State Bicycle Co. 6061 Trail Plus, which at just $999 is a killer deal. And if that bike looked familiar to you, that's because you did see it at the start of this video. We actually did a full review on this bike, which I'll put a link somewhere up here that you can check out when you're done watching this. Now, the 6061 Trail Plus has a geometry that looks a little bit more akin to a commuter or a hybrid bike than a traditional trail mountain bike. As you'd imagine, for a $1,000 bike, the Trail Plus has a relatively basic set of components. It has a Shimano Altus drivetrain, whose lack of clutch and narrow 11 to 36 tooth cassette are another reason why this bike is probably best left for commuting through town than tackling single track or Gruen fat bike trails. Next up, braking duties are covered by Tektro with the MD M300 mechanical disc brakes. Lastly, the Trail Plus rolls on 26 by 4.5-inch Kenda Juggernaut tires. This puts the weight of the bike at 40 pounds or 18.1 kilograms, the heaviest analog bike on our list. The State Bicycle Co. 6061 Trail Plus is one of the few decently spec'd fat bikes that you can get for less than $1,000. And for that reason, we are going to be giving it 4 out of 5 goats. The biggest thing holding this bike back is that Shimano Altus drivetrain, but thankfully that would be relatively inexpensive and easy to replace if you wanted to do that down the road. While most people use fat bikes for winter transportation or maybe some cross-training for the summer season, there are a die-hard few who focus their whole calendar year around fat bike racing. And that's what our next category is all about. The Salsa Bear Grease CXT wins our award for the best race-ready fat bike, whose full carbon frame and fork put its weight at a sprightly 29.9 pounds or 13.6 kilograms. Speaking to the bike's XC racing nature, it has a relatively steep 68.6-degree head-tube angle and some short 440mm chainstays. The bike also has a slew of mounting points for added gear for those multi-day races and adventures. As you'd imagine, the bike comes spec'd with a bunch of performance-oriented parts, like a Shimano SLX drivetrain with an XT shifter, SRAM Level TL brakes, and even a TransX dropper seat post. To keep the rolling speed high, the Bear Grease uses larger 27.5-inch wheels wrapped in 4-inch 45 North Van Helga tires. But this combination of a lightweight frame and high-end components will cost you, making it the most expensive non-powered fat bike on our list at $3,999. All in all, the Salsa Bear Grease CXT is a performance-oriented bike that's not going to be good just for racing, but also those long multi-day adventures or just a quick lap at your local groomed fat bike trails. And for that reason, we're going to give it 4.5 out of 5 goats. We love the versatility of this bike, but at $4,000, it is a lot to spend on a bike that you're probably only going to be using a few months of the year. Now, speaking of versatility, our fifth and final category is the best all-around fat bike, the Fezzari Kings Peak Comp SLX, a full carbon fiber fat bike that lists for just $2,499. The frame and fork feature 19 mounting points, making it perfect for long trips into the backcountry, but the modern geometry will make it pretty great on short single-track loops as well. As the name would suggest, the Kings Peak Comp SLX features a Shimano SLX drivetrain, whose reliable performance and wide gear range is perfect for long days in the saddle or fast sprints at your local trail center. Braking duties are taken care of by Tektro with a pair of HD M275 hydraulic brakes. Like many of the bikes on today's list, Fezzari has chosen to spec the Kings Peak with 27.5-inch wheels. And if maximal weight savings is your thing, Fezzari will also sell you a pair of carbon fiber hoops that you can add at checkout. But with the alloy wheel, the Kings Peak Comp SLX still weighs a respectable 31 pounds or 14.4 kilograms. Fezzari has always been known for packing tons of value into their bikes, and this Kings Peak Comp SLX is no exception. We're pretty blown away by just how much bike you're getting for $2,500, and for that reason, we are going to give it a full 5 out of 5 goats. Now, if you want to see just how capable this bike really is, then check out this footage of Chris Burkhardt using the Kings Peak in the first ever winter crossing of Iceland. Fat bikes may be a small niche in the greater cycling market, but their unflinching versatility in just about any terrain makes them very exciting nonetheless. Let me know in the comments how you feel about fat bikes, as well as if you have any questions about the 5 bikes we featured in this video. While you're down there, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and like this video, as well as subscribe to the 99 Spokes YouTube channel. And lastly, remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.